Animal advocates in Naugatuck are looking for whoever owned or was responsible for this dog. Take a look at your screen right here. Animal Control is telling News 8 someone found him off of Great Hill Road by Shilgan Pond earlier this month. The 8-month-old dog had to be rushed to a veterinary hospital for severe heat stroke. He also had other signs of neglect. Now, Desmond's Army is offering a $5,000 reward for any information leading to the arrest of the person responsible.
So what is Desmond's Army? Many people don't know how that group came to be.
Ashley Baylor shows us how this army of advocates evolved from a story of survival. We do want to warn you, some of these details are disturbing.
There have been a number of animal abuse and abandonment stories lately. Maybe you've seen posts like these pop up on your social media feed. Rewards for information leading to a suspect. These rewards are offered up by Desmond's Army, a literal army of volunteers fighting for the voiceless. But how was Desmond's Army created? It's a story of a domestic abuse survivor turned champion for other victims of cruelty.
Tucked away in the beautiful hills of the Berkshires is this sprawling 1,200-acre farm. It is home to 16 horses, young and old. Most days you'll find a woman who would prefer to be called Zilla, tending to the horses and working on the property.
This is my peace. This is my peace of mind. This is where my heart is. I feel safe here.
As we walk with her 2 rescue huskies close by, she shares the story of how her serenity came from surviving a violent relationship.
Russian roulette was the Saturday night gig, where, you know, there was a revolver, and he would spin it, and I'd have to pick it up and put it to my head. I was isolated, you know, cut off from friends, cut off from family. I knew I had to get out. I had my son and my dog. There was one time where I was able to get out, but he had my dog. When I went back for Fang, he had been shot on the front step. He had a gaping bullet wound to his chest, and he had just bled out over the front step, and that was in retaliation for me leaving.
She has lived with guilt and post-traumatic stress for decades. In 2012, she heard about Desmond's case, a handsome pit bull boxer mix that was mercilessly killed.
Desmond's story just resonated so deeply that I could not get involved. You know, that he was a victim of domestic violence also in retaliation.
Desmond's emaciated body was found in a garbage bag on the edge of a pond in North Madison. A microchip led police to his owner, who admitted to torturing, punching, and choking Desmond to death. Despite the confession, Desmond's owner was sentenced to accelerated rehabilitation, which meant no jail time and a clean record upon completion.
The heartbreak was palpable. And I think everybody's heart and stomach just sank collectively. And we all just sat and cried. Because there was, you know, it was so unjust. That here you had a confession. You had a confession, and yet the judge saw fit to essentially let him off.
During the court hearing, Zilla was among the sea of supporters who were labeled Desmond's Army.
We all vowed to get justice for Desmond.
Shortly after, she helped develop a more formal group of advocates, keeping the name Desmond's Army. In 2016, they helped pass Desmond's Law, which enables courts to appoint legal advocates to represent victims of animal cruelty. Almost every day, they show up to animal cruelty cases to make sure Desmond's Law is being used.
In one day, we can have 7 court cases spread out across the state.
Ultimately, Desmond's Army wants animal abusers to be held accountable for what they did and punished appropriately. The state added 2 stricter laws last year, but Zilla says there is still overwhelming frustration with the lack of enforcement.
There's animals out there being murdered, you know, stabbed, beaten to death on camera. and the laws are not being used anywhere near to their fullest extent.
The memories of Desmond and her dog Fang keep Zilla fighting and being the loudest voice for the voiceless.
So in some small way, in my own heart, I was feeling like I could get justice for Fang as well.
Desmond's Army will continue to work with lawmakers to create and enact stricter laws. In fact, they want Desmond's law to expand beyond cats and dogs. They would like the law to include horses, sheep, and other farm animals and critters. Now, Dennis, you heard in my report here that Fang lost his life in a domestic violence retaliation situation. Recently, Ann and I actually learned of a safe house which is going to allow women to bring their pets with them. So if you and your pet need help from a domestic violence situation, we actually do have a great link for that on our website.
That's a great idea to do that. Yeah.
And I would think that Desmond's Army continues to educate people just about how much cruelty there is to animals.
Right, and also the link between the cruelty to animals and people, and they've worked tirelessly to educate people about Connecticut's cross-reporting law. Basically, what it means is that animal control officers and the Department of Children and Families employees, they're required to report suspected animal cruelty to the Department of Agriculture. In turn, the Department of Agriculture has to forward animal cruelty reports to DCF so they can assess the safety of any children who may be in the home and possibly exposed to that animal abuse.
Because if you're hurting animals, you may hurt humans.
There's a high percentage.
And it's a good thing they're expanding to other animals, farm animals, because we've done stories here on News 8 about farm animals being abused as well. So.
And I mean, overall, there's too many of these stories.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much.